Excuse me. Hari Om. सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् हरि ओम कृष्ण वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Yes, can we recollect something that we saw? Anything that we saw from the last? Yes, please. Yes, Chitraji, Aditi, anybody? Okay, Chitraji, fine.
So Dr. Nirodbaran says that again he had an experience of pressure during meditation. So previously he had gotten, some kind of suggestion to try to widen his consciousness. So one of the ways that Dr. Nirodbaran used is to think that he is as large as the universe and asked if that is acceptable. So he was told that those can be one of the ways of widening the consciousness. And the questions on how does force enter? Is it the same way like the ananda and peace enters, or how is it? So it's going to be the same way, and some people understand and experience it easily. So that was one thing. And so the kind there's a lid is what was told, and it's some kind of a mental block in between that is preventing the force from coming down. So once that is removed, the force will automatically come down, is one of the things that we saw. And the usage of force to get things done for ordinary work is easy compared to getting a sadhak on the path, is one other thing that we saw from Sri Aurobindo. And the force that comes to one can also go out. So with this steady force, it can be directed to others, is another thing we saw. And receptivity and psychic awakening is not gender specific. It is easily possible for everyone. Sorry, equally possible for everyone. And later we saw about some questions where Dr. Nirodbaran asks about the past moments of Sri Aurobindo's life pertaining to those dangerous moments. What were those?
Yeah.
So, yeah, where he was not really very happy with the questions, and it was more to do with the freedom struggle and
Hmm.
those other
So
experiences,
our,
which
Dr. Nirodhan in rather obnoxious manner tried to imply that Sri Aurobindo had not faced too much dangers or challenges because he was unaware. Then he learned from other sadhaks also and from Sri Aurobindo's response. Though Sri Aurobindo himself didn't get annoyed, he called himself in a sarcastic manner that I am ahimsuk only. You see, I got acquitted, so I have not really been involved anyway. But we
Sir,
all
sir,
know.
no video, sir.
Mine, it is
Ah, now it
working,
is coming.
Baju.
Now it is
It's
coming.
coming. Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Yes, and the starting part about the dhyana, I think that was important where the meditation, when we receive the experience, it is required to become silent and absorb it, allow it to come inside. That is why Dr. Nirodban suggested that should we try to imagine ourselves to be vast and wide, and so we are becoming more receptive and become more. You see, when it is wide, it is also rarefied, that consciousness. It's like the denseness comes down, and as it comes into us, it gets assimilated. These are all, I think, we should experience it rather than having a general SOP or general, this is how it should be. It's a dynamic path. The path is different for everyone. The experiences also are different. So we can enjoy the experience, but in silence is probably something that we can see. That was one important point. So that is where it continues. So it's interesting how in this dialogue suddenly there is a upward moment, like the lid. I think Chitraji just referred to right now. That is a block, a mental block. Means there is the goddess Devi is there. She is functioning in the world. Her forces work on the material plane also, but we don't become conscious of it. Sometimes we are not receptive of the force of the goddess also because it is everywhere. Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samsthita. That is the Devi. To be receptive, we have to rise. So when we rise above a particular level of consciousness, then we understand. We understand the working of the Devi. We understand the working of. They say the first Devi to be realized is the Mahasaraswati or Saraswati Devi because she is the closest to human dream, inspiration, the word of, the incarnate word, the word which is the source of everything. That is where the ideas, I think we also require intuition, isn't it? Where do we not require it? Any activity is there. No, I don't need. No, we need it. We need it everywhere. You get intuition, maybe even your regular action becomes a divine action. Say you're cooking, suddenly you get intuition. Ki, Chalo, theek hai, today's dish, let me try this particular ingredient. So where did it come from? Well, if it can be a whim, it can come from anywhere. But if you are driven by the higher force, then Ma Annapurna's presence will be felt in people who are eating the food. That is exactly where we should rise. We should rise above that block. That block comes from our indriyas. That block comes from our attachments. That is why sadhana is required. So again, there's a the last was a very so what we can say a question that was made by Dr. Nirodbaran in a sort of a teasing manner, in a sort of a sarcastic manner. He tried to say, Sharvindo, what is it? Where did you live dangerously? And Chairman also did not, you can say he has got used to it because probably so many asks that freedom was there. That was the freedom of, that was how Sherwindo functioned. He gave that freedom. So can we say it is wrong in asking such questions to Sherwindo? No, have the freedom, utilize it. No, why not utilize it if it has been given? But it should be directed towards the higher consciousness, and Sherwin always saw to that sincerity is there, it is going to. He would give each person an answer according to the sincerity of that person's question. So let us continue without delay. Um, Nirodbaran, he says, Namaste, Sita Lakshmi ji. So Nirodbaran, he says, I read your poem on tautology written to Dilip Da, another wonderful sadhak who later on became a greater sadhak also. So I read your poem on tautology written to Dilip Da, and I felt rather bad for you. So if you like, I can write only 3 days a week. Anybody has heard of this word tautology? In figures of speech, in I think it is in poetry, it is used. Repetition. Repetition of a concept is used in a poem again and again. So this, what is this tautology? There's a footnote. Sri Aurobindo had referred humorously to the letters of the disciples, where they often repeated the same points again and again. So Sri Aurobindo would get same questions from different shishyas. Why is it anybody? Same type of questions coming to different people. Anybody? Would you like to hamper a guess?
Maybe the ideal is not clear. Maybe they want to ask in the same question in a different manner.
No, it is the same way only. It's different people are asking same question here, Sitaji.
Not clear, that means.
It's not clear. Okay, that is true. They're asking because it's not clear, but there is something called Vishwamanas. Everybody, we are all connected with this Vishwamanas. So the same kind of doubts only come when you start on the path of sadhana. Same questions come. You study the Gita with different people. For me, my experience is that the first adhyaya of questions, these questions are like a SOP. I think children's batch, we already have the questions which will come out. In Krishna's butter, kids batch, we all the teachers are already handed. When you start telling this, if you tell it correctly, this is the question that is going to come. It does not matter which language it is being told. It is told in Marathi, Hindi, Tamil, Kannada, whichever language it is being taught. That question comes because that is our human mind. It functions with logic. It functions with rational. and Sri Aurobindo's yoga is about transcending. So these questions are almost similar. So he wrote a poem to Dilip Da titled Tautology, meaning repetition. It was written humorously. So here, Nirodbaran is saying, I feel rather bad for you because you are getting same type of questions from everybody. So if you want, I can reduce the correspondence to 3 days a week. So he is being magnanimous to Sri Aurobindo by saying that I will send you only 3 days a week. Let us see what the master is going to say. This is beautiful, you see. He says, the poem was not aimed at you. You need have no claims of conscience. So he's saying it's all right, you can keep sending, no problem. He is not having any issue with that. Then Nirodbaran, he continues. If you mind the way I have written the last few letters, I mean the humorous vein in them, I shall stop it and keep to the point. But let me say that it was by some gracious moment of yours that I dared to do this. And I have really wondered how I dare. I have told you already how I enjoy and felt happy by your kindly jokes and humors. So he is guilty right now. Actually, the questions were very sharp and very, what we can say, he's only thinking about it. That I dared because you gave me the freedom. If you're feeling bad, or I mean, he didn't say if you're feeling bad, he said if I have crossed the line, please tell me. Sri Aurobindo's reply, not necessary to stop, unless you are afraid of word punctures in the skull. My indignations and abjurations are jocular and not to burn or bite. To come to serious matters, what would you say if the mother actually proposed you to exchange timber trade for medicine? Example 1. Transfer your worldly and unworldly goods and your learned and noble person to the dispensary and take physical charge of keeping it in order. 2. To help Becharlal in ministering to the physical ills of the sadhaks with the provision that you may, with the provision that you may have hereafter to take the main charge if he takes a trip to Gujarat. The mother is rather anxious that you should take up this work. Excuse me. She had the idea, as I told you, when DS broke down, which was a pity because he was in many respects the ideal man for the charge. But she did not propose it because she was not sure you would like it. As yet, the suggestion is confidential for pending your answer. We have said nothing to Bechar Lal. So this is very interesting that if you see, first thing is Shreyananda says, no problem. You want to make this kind of jokes, you want to make this kind of tricks. Just one moment. Just give me one moment. Yeah, Shreyananda says it's not necessary to stop unless you are afraid of word punctures in your skull. So he's saying that if you are, I will, when you are wrong, I'll point out. If you are afraid of it, then you can stop. Otherwise, I don't have any problem. So Shreyananda does not have an objection. I don't think we can ever say, ki, why did he ask? Just like how Arjuna and Krishna Samvad, no? Somebody will say, how can Arjuna say like this, Krishna, I do not believe you. I don't understand what you are saying. How can it be true? So these are all questions which were asked because actually that is why it is very important to not try to pass judgments on private conversations. Especially now not private, we can say these are now public, but still it is a guru and shishya relation is a very special relation. Nobody else, third person should not enter at all. Shastra says leave that place. Leave that place where the insult of guru is being done. Something like that. It is as simple as that. So here, Shishya has got that freedom. He's saying you, if you are ready to bear my responses, then you go ahead, he says. Then he says, my indignations and observations are jocular and not meant to burn or bite. So this is even what I'm telling you. Whatever I'm saying, they are just in a, he's also taking it in a humorous spirit only. So that is something. Namleji also always says, be sincere, not serious. Sincerity is important, isn't it? Otherwise, everybody, I'm now doing a sadhana, adhyatmic sadhana. We have to behave like there is a dead rat under the nose. The face should be very this way only, or we should be so serious, all that. It's not required. With sincerity, we can connect. And humor is there, something which is there in our Sanatan Dharma also, it was always there. Even you see how Krishna begins the Bhagavad Gita, there's a word Prahasanniva Bharata. Anybody remembers Prahasanniva, the word or meaning of it? Where does it come? In the very start of the Gita. Because Arjuna is saying, no, I'm in depression, I'm feeling so sad, this has become life has become like this, there is no meaning. What is going to happen? I cannot see any light. That time he says, Krishna with a slight smile on his face, you are now speaking the language of the learned, and yet you are now attached and grieving at the same time. So something like that. Here also what Sri Aurobindo is doing. And second part is he says to come to serious matters. Jokes apart, he says, because earlier, if you recollect from the correspondence, Dr. Nirodbaran had only told that I don't want to do anything connected to medicine. He was sick of everything connected to medicine and he became the in charge of timber. So Sri Aurobindo says, will you be willing to transfer? Because one point he expressed, Nirodbaran doctor expressed that he is interested if this is going to be sadhana, if it is a divine will. So what we can see is it is so beautiful, isn't it? The need is there, but both the mother and Sri Aurobindo are not forcing it. Ki you must do. Means he has the skill, he has the capacity, but he has to also have the free will. Means there is the free will, and so the person should feel on his own. And that is where progress happens because that is how, because he's not just going to start a center and one medical people open. Now there are so many, if you see in the cities, you'll have so many medical hospitals only. Hospitals are opening, more patients are also increasing. Whether the system is reducing patients or increasing patients, people are asking questions. But this opening of dispensary was also meant to be in line with sadhana of Dr. Nirodbaran. So unless he felt it, it was not to be done. So that's what Sri Aurobindo is saying. That it is, and he is also saying it is yet confidential pending your answer. You see, this guru can easily give adesh, no? Guru can say, or I order you because he has come to serve. Nirodharan has come to serve Sri Aurobindo, but he's not ordering. He's saying, what is your opinion? What do you feel? And this is something when we can, this we learn as it, I think, can we also learn that we should not go on ordering people just because you are my friend, just because you are my relative, just because you are my spouse, just because you are my child, I order you. Can we send orders? No, I don't think it's required. It's not required. Instructions can be given, guidance can be given, advice can be given, but compulsory, mandatory, decree, and all is not something which is necessary. Sri Aurobindo, Nirodbaran, he asks one more. He says, he shares, he says, today during meditation, again, there was a sense of much pressure on the head, as if I would fall down. I was quite unconscious for some seconds and felt also very light, as if there was no body. Is it the same experience as the previous one? Why is the force felt only on the head? Why opening of the eyes relieves the intensity? This is very interesting, actually. Anybody has had some experience while doing dhyana? That you're feeling something very nice and suddenly you're like, okay, let me open my eyes. And then your channel badal gaya. The channel has changed. That nice feeling also suddenly disappeared. Well, something like that our Dr. Nirodharan was experiencing. Sharmindo replies. He says, yes, it was the same experience. You went inside under the pressure of the force, which is often, though not always, the first result. Went into a few seconds samadhi, according to the ordinary language. The force when it descends, tries to open the body and pass through the centers. It has to come in through the crown of the head, Brahmarandra, and pass through the inner mind center, which is in the middle of the forehead between the eyebrows. That is why it presses first on the head. The opening of the eyes brings one back to the ordinary consciousness of the outer world. That is why the intensity is relieved by opening the eyes. So this is the scientific aspect, means the science we can say behind the experience. So there is something called a Brahmarandra, that is the where the entry takes place. Then they talked about this point between the eyebrows. Have we seen that in the Gita? Anybody? Yes. If yes, where? In yes,
Yeah,
Chitraji, please tell me. Yeah.
yeah. Concentrate here in the between of the eyebrows with equal breaths is something that
Ha, prana panau samo krutva. And in this particular point, Krishna says that is a dhyana technique he's talked about. That is one reference. One more place reference comes in.
yeah, with the place of meditation and with the spinal cord straight and
But no,
yeah,
not there. That is a
okay.
second technique of dhyana.
Uh,
But there's one more place. The mention of this eyebrows, point between the eyebrows is mentioned. Anybody can guess? I give a clue. It is 8th adhyay.
Here, over here.
Ji, that is the what we can say Sahasrara, Brahmarandra. Yes, but this point, which is mentioned once in the about dhyana, and in the 8th adhyay, for those yogis, Arjuna had asked the question of how the yogis fare in after prayana kala. They are able to raise their consciousness and they focus at this point again between that eyebrows. So the journey, post-life journey also is affected. The yogis are able to choose. They're choosing economic class or premium class. They want to go which direction they want to go. They are even choosing whether it is going to be the Chandra Marga or what we can say Krishna Marga or the Shukla Marga. So that is something which this is also something similar. That's why probably whenever Krishna says one thing, it has 100 different meanings, which we have to only take for bringing into practice. So here, that's what happens, and so that is why opening of the eyes immediately relieves. So what should we do? Should we open our eyes or should we not? No rule as such, but opening will relieve your experience, relieve you of that experience. So if you want to get relieved, then open your eyes. But if you want to experience longer, keeping it closed, because Sri Aurobindo has, for the first time, told that our Dr. Nirodharan has progressed, gone into what we can say a state of samadhi, but for a few seconds, only a few seconds. It has to become minutes probably. Let us continue. Nirodharan, my last questions on women were a prelude to a bigger question on them in general. His questioning line does not change. I will quote the view of a medical man of experience who seems to represent the popular opinion. Women are, as a rule, more intelligent than men, but their intelligence is of a different order. Man's brain is superior to woman's in size and weight. We are told that it can be explained by our keeping all culture as a sex monopoly to ourselves, that they have been in constant subjugation, that they have never had a fair chance. Then he adds that in Greece and Rome, during the Middle Ages, women had great freedom and a superior form of instruction, yet they did nothing outstanding. In his own profession, though, there have been women professors since the 17th century in famous Italian universities in Bologna, Naples, etc. They have done nothing to advance their special science. So Nirodharan is quoting, without really naming the person he is quoting, that a medical man of experience. Generally, when you give quotes, you should always give exact quotes because this person told becomes hearsay also. Anyway, Sri Aurobindo replies, in Greece, woman was a domestic slave, except the hetairai, and they were educated only to please. In Roman, she remained at home and spun wool, was the highest eulogy for woman. It was only for a brief period of the empire that women began to be more free. But she was never put on an equality with man. Your medical man was either an ignoramus or talking through his hat at you. So he has immediately deflated that logic of that medical man who tried to give some logics, and then a lot of time people say, no, this is how it was in these times, this is in those times. They didn't have a time machine to go to those times. They did not study the scriptures or anything to really identify what's going on. It's just hearsay. So here Sri Aurobindo has immediately just he has negated the entire statement. Also, that in Middle Ages, women had great freedom in Rome and Greece. That is also false, is what Sri Aurobindo says. Sri Aurobindo himself has studied in detail the Greek and Roman civilization, their history, their scriptures, all of it. Nirodban continues. Then again, there have been no women of first rank in painting, music, literature, etc., except Rosa Bonheur, who, however, had to shave her chin and dress as a man. So he says, you see, women have never got first rank, is what Dr. Nirodban is saying. Now, mind you, he's talking in the age of 1935. So we have to understand that in the hindsight. Except he gives the example of a certain Rosa Bonheur, who, however, had to shave her chin and dress as a man. So she had to pretend to be a man and to do some really remarkable things. Sri Aurobindo replies, what an argument! From exceptional conditions as against the habits of millenniums. What about administration, rule, business, in which women have shown themselves as capable and more consistently capable than men? These things need no brains. Any imbecile can do them. He says, what do you mean by all of this? There's nothing like that I've shown in all these fields, whether it is business, whether it's administration, whether it is rule. And the best aspect of Sri Aurobindo is there's no appeasement aspect here. He's not trying to he's just speaking on truth. Truth consciousness, he's talking about it. He's not saying, "Okay, I want to empower, so I'm saying," even in 1935, he's talking on the line of truth only. Yes, this is how it is. This is the fact. They have proven already that they are capable, if not more capable. And all of these things require a lot of brains to do this. Anyway, let us continue. Nirodban, he says, you will then agree that that is the consensus of opinion. Sharing the replies, the consensus of masculine opinion, perhaps. So there it is where the patriarchy and things come in. So that is the opinion of the masculine opinion. I think we also have heard, no, in the Vedant, we have rishis, we have rishikas also in the Vedas. There's Gargi, there is Maitreyi, there's Lopa, so many of them. Let us continue. Nirodbaran goes on. Of course, no one can dispute that in another sphere, they are angels. But the side of death and disease, sorrow and suffering, which means apparently that they live more in their heart than in the head. Isn't history full of immortal tragedy of their self sacrifice, of mortal love? Sherwindo. It means that is what men have mainly demanded of them. To be their servants, nurses, cooks, children bearers, rearers, ministers to their sex desires, etc. That has been their occupation, their aim in life, and their natures have got adapted to their work. All that they have achieved else than that is by the way, in spite of the yoke laid on them. And then man smiles a superior smile and says, it is all due to the woman's inferior nature, not the burden laid on her. So there's a burden which for so many years, So many. Well, even today also, if you see in so many places, now in our factory also, the Amlaji's factory, mostly it is women workers only. Why? One more thing is they are only working. The husbands are drinking. The husbands are not doing anything in the village. They are running their entire family by working hard. So it is like already there's a difference, there's a yoke on them, is what Sherwindo is saying. So in spite of that, they are doing it. You cannot make a such a generalized statement. So Sherwindo has again, we can say, deflated that. Nirodharan, he continues, whatever may be the reason of the difference between a man and woman, it can't be gainsaid that women can efface themselves more completely, more easily for the sake of love. It is because their heart is full and strong that their head is weak, if true. Sri Aurobindo. They have been trained to it through the ages. That is why subjection, self-effacement, to be at the mercy of man has been their lot. It has given them that training, but it has left them also another kind of ego, which is their spiritual obstacle. The ego which is behind the Abhiman and the hunger strikes. So this is interesting what Sherbindo is saying, and this is over generations. It is we all carry a baggage, isn't it? We don't realize it, but all of us, Bharat also we have a civilizational, what we can say, inheritance. We have also inherited some of the difficulties and challenges over the several years. So it happens everywhere. And here Sherbindo is talking about the world general, that over generations, this has been left. They have been trained, that is why. But in spite of that, everywhere all the great ones have risen, isn't it? Anybody has heard of Sindhutai Satkal, Maharashtra? Well, her husband, she kind of left. He left her to die when she was pregnant. That too in a cowshed. And how we can probably later on share about her in the group. But how she became the mother of so many people, so many kids, so many orphans. They all called her Ai only. Later on, she received Padma Shri as well. She's of course no more now, but her daughter is also running. She sent her own daughter to the orphanage, to one more place to grow because she did not want to discriminate between all the children. She had a daughter, but look at that. That is what we can say. Hi, this is a talent, isn't it? This is not talent. We can say this is a spirit. Spirit of what? Spirit of truth consciousness. And her daughter is taking her ahead her legacy. And even her husband, the one who had beaten her up, thinking she was dead and left her at that particular time and at a very young age, she actually had to go and live in a shmashan there because there nobody will trouble her. And there that was where she got some food. She had to, miss, she bhakri and all roti she made there in that cemetery. That was how she's like, nobody will trouble. People are afraid of ghosts and everything there. No, that was where she found solace and she started her journey. So this is something which everywhere there are challenges, but rising above all challenges is something which has been shown. But there's an interesting aspect is because of this, sometimes there is one, Shrevindo says that this self-effacement, because continuously I have to bear it, I have to do this, I have to, and this becomes also a kind of a, it has also left a mark on them. It becomes a spiritual obstacle. Many times, what to do, this is our job. What to do, we are women, so we have to do this. This dialogue is heard or not? So many times it is heard. No, no, there's not. That is also an obstacle on the spiritual path that prevents growth. Just give me one moment, please. I think the charger is got disconnected. Just reconnect it. Yeah, so let us continue. Nirodharan, he is not leaving his line of questioning. He says, can it be said that because they live more in their heart than in their head, Their path is easier. Sri Aurobindo. All these clear-cut assertions are mental statements. And mental statements are too clear-cut to be true, as philosophy and science have now begun to discover. Life and beings are too complex for that. This is an important message. Mental statements. This is like this is like that. What are we doing with this? We are creating a bheda, isn't it? We are creating a divide in our mind because of our logic. Logic is binary all the time. This or that. Does the entire universe function according to our logic? All the events that we have experienced in life, have they been only because of only conforming to our logic? Or there have been supralogical moments also in our life? And those are the mystic moments. Those are the special moments. Those are what moments we celebrate. We call it divine intervention. We have different names for it. We have experienced that. So they are not on the level of mental plane. They are beyond the mental plane. So all these statements that Nirodharan is doing, it is probably due to some sanskaras or because of the mental assumptions and assertions. Sri Aurobindo says they are too clear cut to be true. Nirodharan, he says, so doubt having gone and faith coming in, their love raises them towards the divine as a thermometer by heat. Doctor has also become poetic. Or love transferred from the human to the divine closes the cycle by taking them to the all love. Sri Aurobindo. There you go from mental statements to poetry and image. Not more reliable. Nirodharan. Here, I have noticed that out of sheer love, some women have followed their husbands into the travails of unknown. But when the husbands have been assailed with doubts and depression, they have been sitting happily and confidently in the lap of the divine. Sri Aurobindo replies, great Scott, what a happy dream. These are all thoughts. Nirodharan, he goes on. It seems that in yoga, women have one advantage. The sex instinct in them is not as strong as men. Page 106. Sri Aurobindo replies, he says, there is no universal rule. Women can be as sexual as men or more. But there are a number of women who dislike sex and there are very few men. One Sukhdev in a million. But many Dianas and Palas, Athenes. The virgin is really a feminine conception. Men are repelled by the idea of eternal virginity. Many women would remain without any awakening of the sexual instinct if men did not thrust it on them. And that cannot be said of many, perhaps of any man. But there is another side to the picture. Women are perhaps less physically sexual than men on the whole, but what about vital sexuality? The instinct of possessing and being possessed, etc. So here Sri Aurobindo is talking about that there is no bheda in this also. Unnecessarily, people are creating this due to their own understandings, which are limited. Mental statements is something which, on the vital level, in the sense the possession, desire based. This is, I think, possession and everything comes into everybody, isn't it? We cannot say that it is not there. So that is something which has to be transcended. So probably that means what somehow Dr. Nirodharan wants to say men have it more difficult compared to women on the path of sadhana. Somehow this way or that way he's trying to bring to that conclusion. Sri Aurobindo is not letting him because that's not true. That is not true. Everybody has the same amount of challenge because we are all part of what? A feminine, isn't it? Whatever. Now I think the number of genders will come down after the universal change now in the West. After elections in the biggest democracy now, we might have the number of genders coming down. But whatever number of genders they may be, cis, bi, trans, whatever, male, female, all of them are part of divine feminine, which is Prakriti. So each of us, when we do sadhana, just because I have a friend who is a transgender, she is also spiritual only. Does that mean because she's transgender, she can go closer or higher in spirituality? It's not the case like that. I will also have the equal opportunity. She will also have the equal opportunity. You will also have the equal opportunity. Of course, she faced a lot of discrimination. She had to come out as transgender after outside of India because in India she was not able to declare. So she was a boy here. My Anna became my Didi suddenly after some time after I came to know. But that didn't make a difference in my relation. But maybe because of the discrimination, she faced a lot of challenges that made her probably opened up because I always look up to her. She has got some spiritual opening very, very much begin from the beginning only. So it could be because of the hurdles there. But otherwise, it's not because of the gender. That the spiritual aspect is Sri Aurobindo is also pointing that out clearly to Dr. Nirodbaran. That time he had only the question of male and female because 1935 probably they were not so aware of the other aspects of other gender. But now that awareness has come. But still, it doesn't make a difference. It is one. Sri Aurobindo goes on. How is it that Ramakrishna, Nirodbaran goes on? How is it that Ramakrishna always used to ask his disciples to avoid Kamini Kanchan? Buddha was no less strict. So this woman and gold, that is the meaning of Kamini and Kanchan. Buddha was no less strict. Sherwinder replies, that is the old monastic idea. It arises from the extreme sexuality of men. They see in women the narakasya dwara, because that door is so wide open in themselves. But they prefer to throw the blame on women. And we have seen that dwara, no? Naraka dwara in the Gita. Anybody can recollect? Somewhere how hell descends in life? Yes, Dr. Bhavanaji? Yeah?
काम क्रोध तथा लोभ
Ah, yes, Kama, Krodha and Lobha. These are the
त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं
Trividham
नाशयति.
Narakas. Yes, 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 absolutely. The three gates of hell. So it is not like how we can say the mythological gates of Tartarus, where suddenly now we're entering into the underworld because we have transcended, or those gates have been opened. Spirits from the underworld are coming. It is not like that. It is Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. That is how Naraka enters into our life. So one cannot blame. This is a little old monastic idea. But then why somebody will immediately ask, why was this particular guru saying this old monastic idea? There is always Desha, there is always Kala, and there is Paristhiti. Place is important, time is important, and context is important. So when somebody can understand a particular level, they will be told that way only. So there's no need to misquote any reference from one place to another to challenge the notion, because the truth is this only, that you cannot blame. People were trying to throw the blame because of their own inner, what we can say, desires. They were not controlling it, so they were giving it. Then Nirodbaran. He's not leaving that. He's still holding on. He asks next question. Was not man's fall from heaven due to woman? Sri Aurobindo says that was not due to sex, but due to woman's desire for new experience and knowledge. Nirodbaran, this letter of mine is pretty long. I am waiting to have from you a royal verdict covering and satisfying all points. Sri Aurobindo replies, I cannot cover and satisfy all points. It would need a volume. I had kept your book in order to write something less flippant and insufficient than the marginal notes about this grave letter. But I have had enough work today for any 2 Sundays. So I had to leave aside all that was not urgent. The inferiority and superiority of women is not a subject that cannot wait. So it waits. Nirodban. He says, Dr. B asked me to shift over. to the dispensary today itself, but I refused, waiting for your full instructions about the furniture, table, lamp, management work, etc. This is also interesting. In the earlier days, no, in the ashram, it was always like, I want direct instruction. Why is this sadhak giving me this instruction? It should come from there until it is authorized. So much that actually even it happens everywhere in different places. Why does it happen? Human nature. It is like that only. Damleji and his guru are there also. Now, Damleji's guru Gokhleji had many shishyas, and they had some very interesting, what we can say, on the path of integral yoga. That is how he got introduced. And Damleji would go for works, and he was outside. Now his shishya means Gokhleji's shishya, who is also a Guru Bhagini of Damleji. She is refusing a work done told by the Guru only until because Guru has appointed Damleji to be looking at it. So until Damleji verifies I will not do this work, she is standing on it. And correctly at that time Damleji enters. There was no WhatsApp, there was no other immediate mobile phone facility, but that is where Damleji's Guru says he works on the intuition level because he had correctly come at that time. But he said I didn't understand why she had to wait when the spirit is there. So he says, I did not take. I was told by this Dr. B to take over today itself, but I refused, waiting for your full instruction about furniture, table, lamp, management, work, etc. Means I think this goes to show also that many times divine will is there wanting something to happen, but our mental logic does not allow divine will. This is not possible by me. No, 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 I can't do this. Somebody wants to do some divine work, they go and say, Chalo, theek hai, they get the direction to do it. No, no, now is not the time. Now is the time will come. When will that come? Which panchanga, which graha you are going to wait for transition to start? It is up to the divine. So there is nothing. The divine is always whenever we get the chance. Means one thing in sadhana is you should have eternal patience, ready to wait entire life for something. But when the divine will is there operating, then an urgency should also be there. There we cannot allow mental aspects. So that is why it is important to rise beyond the mental plane. That's what Shervindo always talks about. We should understand. We should be able to see what is the higher thing. So Shervindo replies, I think there is everything needed over there. Table, lamp, and all. You had better go and see. If so, you will need to take only your personal things. One thing the mother wants to say, she asks you to keep the dispensary meticulously clean, as DS did. There is a special servant attached to the dispensary for that, as a, in brackets, in quotes, foreign degree doctor. You will understand the necessity. You can move in whenever you like, handing over your wooden responsibilities to Dikshit. So Sharvinder says that, yes, the meticulous cleanliness is something you must maintain. That is the only instruction of the mother. Otherwise, everything is ready for him. So our doctor is going back to his profession in his sadhana also. Example is when I come back home, the घर के बुद्धू घर पे आए, something like that. He is now back into his profession. So we'll also have interesting exchanges on patient and doctor relationship also between Sri Aurobindo and Dr. Nirodban. Nirodban, now that I shall be in charge of the dispensary, I feel afraid about my prestige. People expect great things from an England returned doctor who I may confide in you hasn't had enough time for experience. If you can't save my prestige, save at least my face. Sri Aurobindo. People are exceedingly silly, but I suppose they can't help themselves. The more I observe humanity, the more that forces itself upon me. The abysses of silliness of which its mind is capable. The prestige I can't guarantee, but hope to save something of the face. So this is the promise Guru has said. I'm not giving guarantee whether your prestige will be saved, but little bit of your face, don't worry, your face will be little saved. Nirodban, above all, you are putting me in front of my very weakness, to be conquered, perhaps. Sri Aurobindo, it had to be faced someday. You see, this is very beautiful. These are all subtle, subtle interactions in ordinary dialogues, which are actually very, very important. Many times we all like to be in what we call safe zone, isn't it? Comfort zone. I am good at this, so I will do what I am good at or what I like or where I am not going to be challenged. But yoga sadhana is not that. Yoga sadhana is bring it on. We are ready for even the things which we are least capable, if the divine wills, not just by my mental. Because many times people have attachment to shastras, isn't it? Means it is so nice. Philosophy is so wonderful to study. What about living the philosophy? That becomes a little bit, arey yaar, it's good to think about those things, but actually practice. No, but that is a challenge. No? That is what, otherwise, what will happen? It will be an incomplete aspect. When you want to full integral growth, all dimensional growth, we must do that. I remember a great Pandit was speaking in a conference. He was speaking continuously, fluently, in beautiful Sanskrit. First 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, we were all, wow, what a brilliant person. But then his talk went on for 29 minutes, 30 minutes when he was scheduled to speak for 5 to 10 minutes only. And because of him, all the other people were like, wow, everybody was started looking at each other because people had come to present. And this person using his seniority, his interest, showing his prowess and going on and on and on. All the senior people, others are also looking. Nobody knows how to tell him to stop, and this person has not understood it. And then something funny happened. Probably his wife or somebody else or some kid came into the camera. I was doing a what we can say, like a digital talk through a platform. And suddenly he started screaming abuses in his native language in the middle of the Sanskrit speech. A lot of people laughed. And he again went back. He thought he had muted his audio. No, but what does this indicate? That where is the Shastra and where is the practice which is happening? So if he was actually practicing that, that would be brilliant. So many times, that is why Guru's job is that only, to make a person ready to face whatever the person is, what we can say, intimidated by also. Even if the challenge is there, challenge must be taken. That is what is sadhana. Challenge must be taken, and the divine will give the strength to overcome the challenge. So here, that is exactly what Nirodbaran is understood. Because you see, in his life, no, they're all, you see, there's a beautiful aspect. Dr. Nirodbaran is using humor to reduce the pressures and so many things that he must have experienced, isn't it? At that time, he spent so much. He had told, no, I spent 20,000 rupees at that era to go abroad, get a degree. He has a family also, isn't it? Now he has decided to take yoga sadhana as his way. All family attachments, familial emotions, expectations, all of them must be having an effect. And he was a young boy, early 20s, that he has taken this decision. So that time taking such a big leap, it's difficult. And then again, now he has to go back into it. It was a big moment for him. That is why he is asking it this way. And then he says, you are putting me in front of my weakness. To be conquered, perhaps. And Sri Aurobindo says, yes, it had to be faced someday. This is all we must also realize. Just because there is something I don't like or dislike, if it is your dharma, if it is your duty towards whom? Towards self, that you can only identify. Can I do this? Can I overcome it? And if you can, you have started walking ahead. You will slowly become yoga rudha, as Krishna says. A person goes ahead on the path of yoga. That is which is possible. And it happens naturally. It happens naturally as you face yourself. Because there are a permutation and combination of factors going on in life that put you into a circumstance. A circumstance that you are in, nobody else is going to be. And this is also a accumulation of so many experiences of previous lives also. So all have a play. Instead, you become conscious. Your universe only becomes your, what we can say, university for you, where you can learn. It's all right. Some people say I didn't get a chance to go to any university to learn. So go in the city of the universe, experience it. Whichever city can become a university if you are open to the divine. And so here we see that great transformation. Niordbaran also says yes. Ajay wants to add something? Yes, sir?
Yeah, actually, while you were talking, I was hunting a shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, which
Yes, sir.
said something very similar. Na dveshta kushalam karma kushale nanu sajjate tyagi sattva samavishto medhavi chinna samshaya.
Ah,
So do not be
ye-
attached to those things that you like to do, and do not
yes.
refrain from attempting what you are not very good at.
Ji,
So
sir.
that is Tyagi Sattva Samavishto Medhavi Chinna Samshaya. This is in the 18th chapter.
Ji, sir. 18th chapter, isn't it? The final chapter,
Yes.
liberation.
It is the 10th shloka of the 18th chapter.
Ji, ji, ji. Absolutely. So that's what likes, dislikes, all have to be transcended. And sadhana only gives you moments
Correct.
where you have to face them. I did not like chemistry. What to do? Krishna gave me BSc chemistry in correspondence. Had to sit and write, prep study for the exam, after work. It was a very boring thing, but it was required. Who knows last birth what I had missed out. I had to complete the chapter. So that was completed. Anyway, let us continue. Nirodhan, he says, I have no desire to eat, though I am hungry. I can't even sleep at night. Can it be due to the hypersecretion of the endocrines from yogic pressure? Doctor's questions. Nirodhan, Ashwindu replies, confound your endocrines. You have got to eat. Yoga can't be done on a hungry stomach. Sleep also is indispensable. This is also there in the Gita, where Krishna, Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Cheshta Swapnashu. Means we have to have the ahar, vihar, your rest, all of this should be in moderation. So empty stomach, you can't do it. That is also interesting. Means we have to understand our body. If you understand our body, you are going to become the master. You are going to become the Kshetrajna of your own Kshetra. At least first thing is that, no? What can I do to improve my personal life experience? Each person's body is different. You have to identify. My grandmother's, if you would touch her also, she would start burping. She would immediately, no, no, you would say, let allow us to press the feet. She says, no, no, no. Then somehow I managed. And the moment I started, she started burping continuously. Because that's her Sharira. For me, it was a very fun experience to watch this action reaction. But like that, some people eat curd and immediately have an experience of they suddenly catch a cold. Some people, because they eat curd, they feel better and they become shanta. The same foods, what time, what is the vihar, what is the ahar, all these aspects has to be understood. So Sri Aurobindo says, yes, it's dispensable, indispensable for yoga. Then we continue. Nirodhan says, everybody seems to be happy to find me shifted from the timber throne to the dispensary and says, now is the right man in the right place. Sri Aurobindo, men are rational idiots. The timber go down made you make a great progress, and you made the timber go down make a great progress. I only hope it will be maintained by your successor. So this helped you also, and it helped in improving the performance in the timber go down as well. Because doctor must be like this, doctor's child should be doctor, engineer's child should be engineer, artist's child should be artist. These are all what rational suggestions of people, isn't it? Sharvindo is just call it idiotic. Let us continue. Nirodhan, we look at three more questions and we stop. Nirodban, but I don't know how long the right man will be right for them. They want me to entertain them with payas to celebrate the occasion. I think in Tamil we have payasam. It's like a kheer. So this is for to celebrate the occasion. They want me to entertain them with payas. Sri Aurobindo. No man ever is the right one for them for a long time, but just the time of digesting the payas. So this is going to be short-lived. I think there's a very famous song, I think by a band Coldplay. I think one day your story will be. No, it was uh, yeah. People, I think they're not Coldplay. Another band called, I think it was a singer James Blunt. One day your story will be told. One of the lucky ones who's made his name. And people say you are the brightest star. Later on, they say you are only the worst of all. So here, until the payas is digested, he says everybody will want to consider you the right person. After that payas is forgotten, then you will experience the same set of experiences. Nirodhan, I feel a little Maya for that room where I stayed with plenty of air and light. This Maya is different from the Sanskrit word Maya. I think in Bengali language it is being used, and even Marathi also. Maya means a kind of love, affection. Aichi Maya, mother's love. So you grow in that, no? So that's not
Blind love,
really the.
blind love,
Yes, yes, Maji?
blind love. Maya means
No, no, not necessarily blind love in the regional languages, in at least in Marathi, I'm sure, and even Bengali it appears. A kind of fond affection. It need not be the same as, it need not be blind also. Shervindo, he says, that was the reason for our hesitation to change you. But there is no go. The man in the right place must be in the place. And we stop at the next question. Sri Aurobindo, Nirodbaran says, I thought, however, I am the neighbor of the divine, under his breath, almost. So I am at least free from any number of hostile forces. Why? Because dispensary was right under Sri Aurobindo's room. So he is like, chalo, theek hai, I'm getting closer proximity. So I will be free also from hostile forces of attack, lesser difficulties. Sri Aurobindo says, provided you allow the breath to come into you and don't blow it away. So with this, we stop. So now one more nice change has happened. We are happy to note that Dr. Nirodbaran is now back into his dispensary. We will see an interesting dialogues after Nirodbaran doctor starts looking at his patients. He will also ask for mantras and all. It will be very funny. That exchange is going to come. But this is where we stop today. If anybody wants to discuss something, you are welcome to discuss. If you want to ask something, you are welcome to ask. Or we look at the summary and we conclude. Anything, any question which is connected to what we are doing is we are reading, but we are also trying to draw an inference with our everyday life and some kind of utility which will be useful for us. So, in our practical life, what we have understood from this dialogue. So, anybody has anything, you are welcome, or we'll go for a summary. All right, then. I think today's it was quite clear as well what discussion was taking place between Dr. Nirathan and Shri Aurobindo. So, all right, anybody would like to summarize? Usually Chitraji summarizes. So, Chitraji wants to summarize. You are welcome. If anybody else wants to do the honors, most welcome. Okay, Chitraji, yeah.
Okay. So usually there's a pattern that they've observed sadhaks get the same kind of questions as they progress on sadhana, though they don't know that someone else has got it. So that kind of questions usually Shri Aurobindo was getting. That was mainly because as we progress in sadhana, due to the experiences, it leads to the same kind of questions. And then Dr. Nirodbaran gets a chance to choose medicine if he wishes to. And then the exchange of talks about women capabilities despite of various circumstances and situations they were subjected to. This causes some kind of hurdle in their spiritual progress, but does not stop anyone from progressing. So it's equally accessible for both, is something we saw from the exchange of conversations.
Means
And
that
then
was applicable in 1935, but not 2024, or applicable eternally.
eternally it
That's
is.
eternally. All right. Yes.
Yeah, and then we saw that Dr. Nirodbaran takes charge of the dispensary, and it is like an opportunity for him to overcome his weakness or basically be able to conquer um, that. And also, we saw that yoga requires adequate amount of sleep and food consumption. And then the occupation, contrary to what Dr. Nirodbaran was doing, that is the timber-related work, allowed him to progress greatly in sadhana as well as even in that field. So that is something that we saw, and yeah, that feeling of loved nature that he's getting from this getting back to medicine is something that he shared with Sri Aurobindo, and also his proximity of working closer is
Yeah.
something that we saw.
All right. So there's also a phrase, no, so close to the temple or so close to the church and yet away from the divine. So physical proximity has not got much to do. A person can become very receptive. But of course, living in that air of a guru and all is different. It actually gives a great, that's why Guru Sanidhya is so important. That is why people would go and live in Gurukuls only. Because in there you can get to learn a lot more. So of course, this is a very great opportunity for Dr. Nirodbaran. Let us see whether he makes gold out of it. So with this, we conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम पुनर्मिलामः see you next
I
week
have a question.
most
We
welcome
have a
Juhi ji
question.
yes ji
Yeah, so actually, I joined a little late. So,
ji
in the summary, we saw that Nirodharan ji had lots of progress in his sadhana because of the timber work that he did.
yeah
But it's just that I am not sure how it helped him. So, I would like to know that.
uh,
Can you elaborate
acha.
onto that?
Means you are doubting it helped him or means you want to know how it timber work would have helped him progress
Yes, how timber work,
ach.
like I'm not doubting it. Obviously, it helped, but in
Okay.
how, in which way and how?
Right. So, Johiji, just for understanding, you are in your which field are you in, Johiji? You are, I understand you are doing your master's in Germany, isn't it? Ji?
Yes,
So, you are doing it in which field, if you would like to share?
sort of psychology.
Huh?
Sort of psychology.
Yeah, but the name or something just like that, just to get a little specific.
Nice one. I call it informatic von Kopf, means
Huh?
informatics to be used in brain, like
In
software
training.
engineering, but this research can be used, like this technique can be used with psychology and brain stuff for the treatment and stuff. Yeah, that's the
Okay. Yeah.
thing that I'm
So,
saying.
yes. So, one is your regular course and regular what you do as part of your program, isn't it? That is one experience that you get. But do you also do some other activities beyond the course, what you are doing?
Yes,
What is the reason you do that?
because it will give me more exposure. Like
Yeah, it
my
will give
mom
you,
always
yes.
says, some like knowledge never goes to waste. So
Their
the more
knowledge
the
never
better.
goes to waste. Yes, yes, yes. So this, and here, if you see what happens is, if you are working in a particular field, like yeah, I think you must have heard of that left brain and right brain concept, isn't it?
Yes, 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 yes.
So some things require you to have a very focused point of attention, and there are some
Mm-hmm.
things which require you to have a wide span of attention also. So normally people have made ki I am a left brain person or I am a right brain person, isn't it?
Yeah.
Generally, but in yoga sadhana there is no left brain and right brain. You're either conscious brained or no brained. So conscious brain in the sense is both left brain and right brain aspects should be looked at. So here Dr. Nirodbaran, he had personally chosen not to go into medicine because he probably was his own personal reasons, whatever his, that was his inner calling. And he was given timber because that would teach him to come down to earth. Because many times we go into certain ideologies in the head and they are not practical, no?
Mm-hmm.
So now working, what does you just see? A doctor is not accustomed to dealing with labor, isn't it? Doctor is
Yeah.
accustomed to treating patients. They have a set rules, set way of functioning, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now Nirodbaran had to, deal with labor and he had to usually put force in labor. And
Mm-hmm.
now he is working against his skill set also, isn't it? He does not have any skill set. He does not have a skill set and yet he is working there. So what is this going to? This is a challenging situation, isn't it? Adverse
Yeah.
situation. So adversity can sometimes it crushes a person when a person is not ready to face the challenge. Here, Nirodbaran took this challenge head on. So he grew as an individual. Facets grew for me. I remember when I first met Damliji and all, I was taught how to do gardening. First year, 2 years, I was doing nothing. I was actually clearing up the garden and doing other things, delivery work, this work, that work. But for me, I enjoyed my poetry improved as I did cleaning with the gardening. How is gardening connected with poetry? I don't know, but it made me conscious. Damli says you should have connect with plant kingdom, human kingdom, and animal kingdom. First is he had a dog which looked like a wolf, Rushi. I was like, he will bite me, and then in response, I will do something, it will create trouble, so I would stay away from him. But Damli said you will learn his language. That time it sounded crazy for me. How can I learn a language? But afterwards, you see, so much friendship was there that when Damliji would feed him, he would wait for me to come back and then eat. Until I come, he would not. And we both would understand each other. I mean, Bhagavad Gita writing, I would lie down on the floor and write. He has walked over me also as if I am a piece of paper or something, or he has even walked over Bhagavad Gita. We had a very good friendship that way. But then it taught me one important aspect of connecting with animals, connecting with plants. How do you talk to plants? How do you understand? For me, that was important for Ayurveda afterwards. I didn't understand it at that time. What was its use? But I was enjoying it, I was doing it, but I saw it helping me in other aspects because a blossoming of personality is important. And a personality can blossom at any place and anywhere if you take it in the right spirit. Otherwise, you have everything and still you are not going to be growing in. And for Dr. Nirodbaran, you see, he has come from where? From foreign, no? You just see his experience. He must have been talking to a different set of people. He must have got used to. A lot of people, what happen when they go to a different country, they become little bit like that. And then they start using that accent of that country only. And then I remember a friend, his accent changed within 2.5 months. I was so surprised, ki, how can your accent change so much? He's like, no, no, you see, the people here are like this. You see, in here, as if he is now from the other country. He had gone to, I mean, how can a person change so much? He says, you people. I said, wow, you have now made a difference. But, but look at him. He has to now, Dr. Nirodban had to work with people in a timber workshop. Means he has to throw away all his baggage of past, what he had, start afresh, start from scratch. Sometimes that is important. And in sadhana, unlearning is also equally important. So all of this happened. So many processes happened there for him. And not only did it help him grow, it also helped the timber go down. And you see what happened? He had a kind of dvesha towards his own profession. He had declared, I don't want to do anything related to medicine. And now he himself willingly is now entering into medicine. Isn't that a completion of a circle and breaking up of a barrier on the inside?
Yeah.
So probably that, what do you think, Joyji?
Yeah, it makes sense because,
Yeah.
like, obviously, from the two perspective, once
Mm.
surrounding and stuff changes, we have to get accommodated to that. And
Yeah.
considering he studied in England, things were
Yeah.
quite different in England as compared to India. And
Yes.
obviously, he was based in a very small Pondicherry, right? That was not even
Pondicherry was
developed that
nothing
time.
even that time. Now Pondicherry is
Yeah,
growing
so
beautifully.
मछुआरों
Yeah.
को deal करना है उनको technically. He had to treat मछुआras. So
Yeah,
that would have
absolutely.
been a very different uh, extent altogether as compared to as if
Yes.
he had been in Mumbai.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
maybe that was required.
Yes, and that is sadhana actually. That is how it work becomes sadhana. Any work can become sadhana if we do it consciously.
Yeah, thank you. Bhaiya, I have one more question. So
Okay, Ji.
here yeah, so there was one line in the text that even if there is a divine will, but if we are waiting, then there will be no kala existing technically. There will be
The-
never that time coming.
sorry,
So,
that I missed your words, Joiji. Sorry. If there is,
so if there is divine will,
yeah.
like there is no one particular appropriate time or something like that.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Hmm.
there was something like that, I think, in the text. Can you please uh, reiterate the context that it was mentioned in and why?
Okay. One is if anybody can find the exact word or statement, I'm not able to exactly
No,
remember.
we can have a lifetime waiting. But
Oh, yes, definitely.
if it is
Ha,
a
ha.
divine
Okay.
will,
Yeah,
then
that
it
was a
should be
reference.
done.
It
And
was not a direct statement.
yeah.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Banaji. Yes, Joyji. That was just a reference from another somewhere else. Sri Aurobindo had talked about one of the qualities of the sadhak. Means what happens is we become restless, no, when we don't get results. We become anxious. We're always in a hurry about seeing certain things. I've done good deed and let it give some result. Bhagwan, quickly give the result. Please, please, I've done this or whatever different ways people pray, no? Like that, you do some work and then you immediately want an outcome. So that is a restlessness. So when you are in sadhana, when you are walking on the path of the spirit, you must be ready to have an eternal patience. Meaning, I will do entire life in service. Because it becomes a yajna, isn't it? Every action becomes a yajna. Just today, I was talking to one person from the armed forces. He shared his experience. I had written something. He said, yes, but he said they offer everything, not even for guarantee of bare minimum. We say we want bare minimum in life. If I get food, clothing, shelter is enough. I'll be able to survive in sadhana. Here they are trained to sacrifice everything without even a guarantee of bare minimum. So what is that? That is the absolutely what we can say absolute meaning of sacrifice. So this is something where in sadhana, if you're able to have eternal patience, sacrifice all your attachments, give up all of them. So that was what was talking about the patience part. Means that person is not going to be so restless just because the action has not resulted in fruits or people get anxious. What's going to happen? World has become bad. World is like this. This is entire doom of the universe. All these factors don't trouble that individual because the person is conscious. But then there's a risk also, isn't it? Ah, exam is coming. My friend used to say, "Hey, 3 more months, 2 more months, 1 more month, 3 more days." Same person made 3 more hours, and unfortunately, because of him, I also got into trouble, and that was horrible experience of my life. So, what is this? This is useless. No, this is actually inertia. So, you should not go into inertia. So, you have to be patient But suddenly when you see, ki, yeah, this is the time. Like our herbs, we get good sunlight now, rainy season going on, no? So we are rainy season, we are patient ki chalo, it will rain. We will not get very good sunlight. But the moment we get suddenly sunlight has come, chalo, next few hours we are going to get, we quickly take our herbs and we dry them. That urgency is like now we don't know when the sunlight will go away. Like that, when the grace functions, then that sadhak must have that urgency to manifest. Because the grace is functioned for manifesting something. So until that manifestation is complete, there you cannot say eternal patience. God's work, God will do, I will sit quietly, Om Shanti. There is nothing like that. There the action has to be done. But it should not be done in a Ashanta Sthiti. That is what I meant, Joyji. That was from the quotation of somewhere Mother or Sri Aurobindo had said it. Yes, जी.
Yeah, thank you. Understood.
ठीक है जी. All right जी. Okay. ठीक है. हरिओम.
Understood.
नमस्कार. हरिओम जी. नमस्कार. जय श्री कृष्ण.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
हरिओम.